Hey guys, welcome to FatherStack's Rambling Reviews, and today I am here with 1983's anthology film Nightmares, directed by Joseph Sergent. Yeah, so it's split up into 4 chapters. I just want to let you know that this might not be as long as my usual ramble, so it might not be much of a ramble as much as maybe a mini ramble. So it's split up into 4 chapters. You've got Terror in Tapanga, you've got The Bishop of Battle, The Benediction, and Night of the Rat. Terror in Tapanga, it starts with a cop pulling over this guy. The guy then stabs the cop. And then it moves to this couple, this man and wife, and they're watching the news. And apparently there's a serial killer on the loose. The wife then decides to go for cigarettes. She's got a craving. She says, I've run out of cigarettes. I'm going to get a carton of cigarettes from the shop, which is a mile away or something. And the husband says, watch out, there's a guy on the loose, be careful. So kind of ignoring these warnings, she sneaks out and gets cigarettes anyway. So she goes to the nearest shop and buys her cigarettes. On the way back, she notices she's running low on petrol and gas, so she looks for the nearest gas station. Closed. Next one, closed. Goes to the third one. Open. Great. So the gas station attendant, played by William Sanderson, who's brilliant, he is filling up her car and she's looking all shifty, thinking he's looking really weird. And he is kind of a strange, shifty looking guy anyway. So just as she's kind of getting ready to go, he smashes through a car window, pulls her through the door, and she's screaming her head off. Ah! And then out of nowhere, he pulls out a gun and shoots through a car, killing the passenger, the back passenger. And it turns out it's the serial killer that was on the news. Relieved and in shock, she goes home with her cigarettes. Her husband says, "Where have you been?" He says, "Oh, I've had a long day," kind of thing. And then decides to quit smoking due to all the stress. Don't smoke, kids. Next one is The Bishop of Battle. It is J.J. Cooney, played by Emillio Estevez. He is an arcade gamer. Goes to all these arcades, plays games, and then decides to bet people. Doesn't seem to be the best of gamers, which is probably why they're taking advantage of him. Turns out that he is actually a very good gamer and he's conning them out of a lot of money. So, him and his friend, they go home with their, bag of quarters that they've won from conning certain customers. And he ends up going to his local arcade, because he seems to be like one of the best gamers in America. He's going to all these different states, conning all these kids, and he's a teenager himself, remember, 1983. So he goes to his local arcade and plays a game called The Bishop of Battle, which, as explained, has 13 progressively difficult levels, and the only way you could win is by getting to the 13th level and defeating the Bishop of Battle, which is the big bad guy. So he plays it all day, ignoring his best friend, to the point where the arcade owner says, "Look, you're a good guy, but get out." He's like, "I don't want to go. I'm a big boy. What play games?" He says, "Yeah, but I've got to get some sleep." So out. So he chucks him out and he takes a tantrum, goes home. Turns out that JJ's grades aren't the best. In fact, they are abysmal, to the point where his parents say, "Look, you're grounded until your grades improved. Stop playing video games and do as you're told." And he goes in a huff, locks himself in his room, escapes out his room, goes back to the arcade during closing hours and plays Bishop of Battle. And plays it all while listening to his little cassette of like 80s punk music. He had underground punk music. And he's doing well. He's getting on his level 12, which is the furthest he's ever gotten. Yes, I'm on level 12. Puts his tunes on. Beats level 12. Yes, fuck yes, I've done it. And then the machine breaks and folds down. And then out of nowhere, all the characters from the game come out into real life, chase him all over the place, and then he's playing a game in real life, shooting all these characters. Next day, or I think maybe even during the night, his best friend phones JJ's parents. "Where is he?" He says, "Oh, we thought he was with you, doing all the rest of it." He says, "Well, you have not heard from him," so they think he's missing. They go down to the arcade, and there's JJ inside the arcade machine. Don't play video games, kids. Next one is the benediction. This is Lance Henriksen. He is a priest. He's in this kind of stony kind of area. Kind of looks like when you see Jerusalem in the old films, you know, kind of really yellow and stony and dusty and sandy and all that. And he is feeding a deer, and the deer gets killed by a snake, gets bitten by a snake and dies. So Lance Henriksen, enraged, takes up a spade, or I think it's an axe, I can't remember, and bashes its head in, chops it into pieces, picks it up and throws it into the air. As he throws it into the air, he notices that his hand's all bloody and being bitten, and then he wakes up from his dream. His protege, he's kind of the guy he's taken under his wing, I think, or maybe he's just a fellow priest. Says, "Look, whoa, you got a sermon in like 10 minutes. Get up. You've got a funeral to attend." So you notice a glass of whiskey and a bottle beside his bedside cabinet. Like he might be have a habit of having a little tipple at night time, or maybe even during the day. And he's doing a sermon this funeral, and he doesn't seem to be the best at consoling the family. He seems to be. He's got a lapse of faith. He goes to his bishop and says, "Look, I quit." He says, "I can't do this anymore. I've had a lapse of faith." He saw a boy die, and ever since, a little child dying, maybe I can't remember, maybe about an 8-year-old boy or something. He finds him dead. I think so. I can't take this anymore. There is no God. I'm going my own way. So, along with a bucket of holy water, decides to hit the road, going somewhere else, against the wishes of his what do you call it? His church. You know, I don't know what you call these things. So anyway, drives on the road, driving, and then bang! He's like, what the fuck? A truck bangs into him. Like it's a black Chevrolet pickup truck. What the? So he's driving, again, bang, bang. This thing's following him all the way, non-stop, bang, bang. So he manages to lose the tail. It comes back and it terrorises him again. And then once he loses it, the ground starts shaking, and right out of the earth, out of the grass and the sand, the truck comes after him again. And it topples his car over, his car overturns, and gasping for his breath, he gets out, grabs the holy water, throws it over this pickup truck, and it vanishes and dies. So the police, he tells the police and the ambulance who are taking care of all his injuries, and says, "You know what, I'm going back to my parish." I think that's what they call it, the parish. Go back. I forgot my faith in God again. You know, don't lose your faith in God. Next one, the last one, Night of the Rat. This is a family, a man, a woman, her husband, and their daughter. They start hearing sounds in their house, weird sounds. The asshole husband dismisses it as the wind. Don't pay any attention, it's just the wind. She says, "I think it's rats." So she thinks of getting an exterminator. She looks through the yellow pages. He notices her looking through the yellow pages and says, "No, we're not paying an exterminator. I'll do this myself. I'll set up some traps in the attic. We'll see what happens." So they set up traps in the attic. And then during the night, snap. I'm clicking my fingers a lot on this one. Snap! Squeal, dead rat. And then she's like, "I can't go to sleep knowing that there's a dead rat and bleeding everywhere." She's like, "Fuck, I'll go and get it then." So he goes and gets it, puts it in the rubbish, puts it in the garbage. End of story, right? No. So while he's at work, she ends up phoning an exterminator. Sure, there's a rat. Walls are shaking everywhere. It's a mess. So the exterminator says, "I'll be there in a wee while." So the cat, the daughter's beloved cat, goes into the basement. As cats do, they get curious, and the cat vanishes. So the daughter's like, "Where's my cat?" She says, "Oh, he's fine, I'll go looking for him." So the girl's away at school, she goes looking in the basement, puts her hand in something kind of gross and gooey. Ooh, it's the dead cat. Yeah, we've got a problem. So the exterminator comes, says, "Yeah, you got a big infestation here." She goes in, before the exterminator comes, she goes into the girl's room, and all her fluffy toys, all her stuffed animals, scattered everywhere. The room is trashed. Yeah, and then when the exterminator says, "Yeah, you've had a problem for months," she says, "No, this has just been the past 2 to 3 days. This is the new thing." She says, "No, you've had an infestation for a long time." The husband, pretty pissed off that she's even called an exterminator, tells him to piss off. Says, look, I'll do things my way, keep anything else out of it. As you can tell, the husband's an asshole. So, during the night, everything's moving, things are falling off the cupboards and the cabinets and the houses. It's like an exorcism movie. Like, everything's moving, you know. And then after panicking during the night, the wife ended up getting a phone call from an exterminator explaining that what they've got is like a king rat, this almost legendary giant rat that terrorizes people. So she's pretty terrified. I think the next day they hear screaming coming from the daughter's room. The daughter is terrified, and there's this big giant rat in her room. And she seems not to be so frightened. She seems to be able to communicate with this rat, and says that it's wanting its baby back, the baby that was put in the trash earlier. So the wife says to the husband, "Go get the rat, get the one you just put in the bin, you know." And so they give the dead rat to the mummy or daddy, whatever, and then the rat leaves out the window happily ever after. Right, so that's the 4. That's in a nutshell. So I'm going to rate them from worst to best. So the worst to me was Night of the Rat. The longest of the 4 at 35 minutes. Starts off alright. It wasn't. It's hard to put into words, this one. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And this is clearly not meant to be. This is clearly meant to be taken seriously, but I couldn't after seeing what I saw. Veronica Cartwright, who was in Alien, she's not that good in this. In fact, the girl that plays the daughter, she's the better actress in this. When she's crawling through the basement, puts her hand in the cat, she doesn't seem that scared. But the line was drawn with me when I saw the rat, which is just green screened in. You know, they took a real rat, the green screened it into the movie, and you see the green outline. I'm going to put pictures up. I have not edited these pictures, I swear. These are in the film. It's ridiculous. I honestly, I never laughed so hard until I saw this rat. Because it's meant to be serious, it lost all credibility for me. The second one, this is the one that I thought was going to be the worst until I saw the Night of the Rat, is the Bishop of Battle. It's not actually too bad. It's quite interesting. I don't like Emillio Estevez's character one bit. He's a dickhead. He treats his best friend like shit. He treats his parents like shit. I know that's like teenagers and all, but not all teenagers, but you know, that's kind of the stereotypical teenager. I don't play by the rules and all that. So it's not too bad. I like it when he's playing the game and that, but when the game comes to life and he's shooting everything, I lose interest. And it's just, you know, when you lose interest, it's hard to enjoy it. My second favourite, or third worst, second favourite, because I did like this one, The Benediction. This is really good. I really enjoyed this. This is like Jewel. You know, the Steven Spielberg film with, I think it's Dennis Weaver, and he's getting ploughed by this big lorry, this big truck. Keeps on following him. I think it's Steven Spielberg's first movie, and it's a really good one. And this is kind of like that, and it's really, really good. Again, it annoyed me a little bit when the truck came out of the ground. It's like, yeah, I know you suspend disbelief, but I mean, because it's almost based in reality, and you see something like that, I was like, and the effects when he throws the holy water on it kind of suck. They clearly used up all their budget on Bishop of Battle, on the effects bringing that to life, which I think is maybe just early. I think it's early CG. It looks like kind of like Tron kind of effects, which are really good for 1983 to give it its credit. But all the budget clearly went into that, and not into the effects for the other one. But to the Benediction's credit, it does have a lot of suspense to it. It is really good, and Lance Henriksen, as always, is fantastic. And my favourite of the 4 is Terror in Tapanga. Again, the tension on this is really, really good. It almost plays like a short slasher film. It's also the shortest of the 4, at about 15 minutes. If you take away the credits, it's about 15 minutes long. And it's one of these things that you can imagine it being made into a longer movie. I really enjoyed this. And the ending is quite shocking. I was like, what's going on here? It's like, oh, right, yeah. Alright, well, they're done there. For the short time he's given, William Sanderson is really good, and I like him. He's been in Blade Runner, he's been in Fight for Your Life, he was in Deadwood. He's one of these character actors you see everywhere. You know his face, you might not know his name, but he's really good for the short time you see in it. Overall, I'd give this about 6.5 out of 10. Night of the Rat killed this. It was honestly, you have no idea how bad it is. I've got to, like you say, you'll see the screenshots. Like, he's fucked with the images. No, I've not. It's really that bad. But what's weird about this is that all 4 segments are directed by the same guy. It's like usually in anthologies, every segment is given to a different director, whether it's like, Twilight Zone the movie, or Creepshow, or VHS, which I wasn't too fond of VHS. What's the other one? Creepshow. Nightmare Cinema is a really good one. I really like that. That was like Joe Dante and everything was done that. That's a really good one. Overall, it's an okay anthology. I've seen better ones, but I don't know. It was a little bit of a letdown. For a film called Nightmares, it's not very scary. It's not bloody. The bloodiest parts where the guy stabbed at the start of Terror in Tapanga. There's a bit of blood in that. Apart from that, there's not really any blood apart from when the snake bites Lance Henriksen's hand. Another thing I wanted to say is that most anthologies have something in common. So I was thinking in this one, it's like, well, at the end of Terror in Tapanga, it's like she gives up her cigarette. It's like, that's anti-smoking, isn't it? Don't smoke. Bishop of Battle's like, don't let your kids play video games. They'll warp your kids' minds. The benediction is, I think, maybe, don't give up on your faith in God, stay religious, maybe. And Night of the Rat is, don't kill rats or the mummy rat's going to come for it. I don't know the message in that one. I'm just speculating. I turned out they're not public service they're not public service announcements. They're not. They're apparently they're not PSAs at all. They are urban legends. Terror in Tapanga is like, the killer in the backseat of your car. Watch when you're driving alone at night. There might be someone in the back. Bishop of Battle is I don't know, but maybe Berserk. The game Berserk? It was like an 80s thing. There's a little yellow smiley faced bad guy called Evil Otto, and like 3 kids died, and all said, oh yes, because of the cursed game, the cursed game Berserk. Turns out they all had like underlying conditions. One had a heart condition, one had like really bad asthma and stuff, and then died due to that. It wasn't the game, it was just all had underlying conditions and died, but became an urban legend and kind of this cursed game. Or maybe something to do like Polybius or one of these things. That's the only thing I can think of with this one. But 1983 seems a bit early for that to be the case. But if it is the case, then well done on being so fast to get on track with this one before it became, tapped like creepypastas and stuff. But I wonder. Let me know what you think on that one. The benediction is, I think maybe be careful when you're on the road alone, because there might be a guy, that's ramming your truck, the stalker, like Jeepers Creepers and things like a Jewel, the stalking truck, the stalking lorry, could be that. Night of the Rat, I don't know. There might be an urban legend about a giant killer rat that's wanting its babies back. I really don't know. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. It's alright. It's worth watching for the first 3. Although I do have problems with like Bishop of Battle and Benediction. It's like mostly to do with the ending. It's the endings to them that I've got the problem with. I do like those 3. Whereas the ending of Night of the Rat it absolutely ruined the whole segment for me. It ruined the whole chapter for me. I was like, there's no taking back from this one. If you want to watch a good rat film, watch what's it called? The one with Peter Weller and what's that film called? Of Unknown Origin. Watch Of Unknown Origin. That's a good rat movie. Better than Willard and stuff like that. Watch Unknown Origin. Really good rat movie. This one's, I say, I give it maybe 6.5 out of 10. The other ones are good enough to bring it up, but The Night of the Rat for me was bad enough to bring the film as a whole down. Let me know what you think of this if you've seen it. Let me know your favourite anthology movies, and let me know what you want me to review next. Overall, it's worth watching. Just not quite as great as I expected it to be. Especially, I knew a lot about Bishop of Battle, and the reason I watched this in the first place. But yeah, it was one of my least favourites on here, to be honest. But yeah, that's all I've got to say on that. Let me know what you want me to review next, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks a lot.